When I was young, I thought life was about winning. Winning more money, more respect, more attention. I thought the people who looked successful were the people who understood life. I was wrong. Painfully wrong. And the terrifying part is, most people never realize it. They spend their whole life running. Then one day they wake up old, exhausted, emotionally empty, and they realize they spent 70 years chasing things that never truly mattered. I know because I did the same thing. I spent decades watching people destroy their peace chasing three illusions. Three things the world teaches you to worship. Three things that quietly steal your life while promising happiness. And by the time most people understand the truth, their best years are already gone. Nobody tells you this when you're young, because the world profits from your distraction. A distracted man buys more, consumes more, competes more, shows off more. But a peaceful man cannot be controlled easily. That was the moment I understood something terrifying. Most people are not living. They are performing success, performing importance, performing happiness, and deep inside, many of them are lonely beyond words. I have sat beside dying people, real dying people, not the fake inspirational stories people post online. I mean people with trembling hands, weak voices, tears in their eyes, staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. because they knew the end was close. And do you know what almost none of them talked about? Money, status, attention. The very things they sacrificed their souls for suddenly became meaningless. One old friend of mine spent his entire life chasing wealth. He was brilliant, disciplined, ruthless. By 55, he had everything people dream about. Big house, luxury cars, business success. People respected him, or at least they pretended to. But I remember visiting him one winter evening when we were both much older. The house was silent, too silent. No laughter, no warmth, no life. Just expensive furniture sitting in cold, empty rooms. He looked at me with tired eyes and said something I will never forget. I spent my whole life building a castle nobody wanted to live in. That sentence haunted me for years, because I realized something. Many people become rich while becoming emotionally bankrupt. They lose the ability to enjoy simple moments, a quiet dinner, a peaceful morning, a genuine conversation. Their nervous system becomes addicted to pressure. Even when they win, they cannot relax. Most people think money gives freedom. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it simply upgrades your prison. I learned this too late. Money is useful. But beyond a certain point, people stop chasing security and start chasing emotional validation. That's the dangerous part. They don't want money anymore. They want proof that they matter. So they work harder, sacrifice more, ignore their children, ignore their health, ignore their marriage, and one day they wake up strangers inside their own life. I knew a woman once who told me something heartbreaking. She said, "My husband gave me everything except himself." Think about that. A person can provide financially, yet emotionally disappear completely. And society still calls that success. That is the tragedy. The second thing people waste their life chasing is status. This one destroys people quietly, especially men. Most men are never taught how to feel worthy without achievement. So they spend their life climbing invisible ladders. Bigger title, bigger house, more recognition, always trying to become someone. But here's the cruel truth nobody says out loud. The world forgets almost everyone, fast, much faster than you think. Most people realize this at 80, not 30. The company replaces you. The applause fades. The phone stops ringing, and suddenly you meet the real version of yourself underneath all the titles. That moment crushes many people, because they spent their whole life introducing themselves through achievements. Without those achievements, they don't know who they are. I remember attending a retirement dinner many years ago. The man being honored had worked for over 40 years. People gave speeches, clapped loudly, praised his dedication. He cried that night, not because he felt proud, because deep down, he knew something terrifying. The world was moving on without him. Within months, nobody from the company contacted him anymore. 40 years reduced to memories and handshakes. That was the moment I understood. If your identity depends on status, aging becomes terrifying. Because aging slowly takes away the things the world rewarded you for. Beauty fades, power fades, importance fades, and if you built your entire self-worth on external validation, you collapse internally. I've seen famous people become deeply depressed after losing attention, not because they lacked comfort, because they no longer felt seen. Human beings can survive hardship better than invisibility. That's why some people stay trapped in toxic relationships, or show off constantly, or desperately seek attention online from strangers who do not truly care about them. They are starving emotionally, and attention temporarily numbs the hunger. but only temporarily. The applause never lasts long enough. That's why people become addicted to more. More likes, more praise, more admiration. It becomes endless. Like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. I used to think respected people were happier. Age taught me otherwise. Some of the most admired people I ever met were deeply miserable behind closed doors. Because maintaining an image is exhausting. You become terrified of failure, terrified of weakness. Terrified people will discover you are human. And eventually, you stop living honestly. You start living strategically. Every conversation becomes performance. Every achievement becomes survival. That is not freedom. That is emotional slavery dressed as success. The third thing people waste their whole life chasing is other people's approval. This one may be the most dangerous of all, because it begins in childhood. Many people never become who they truly are. They become who they needed to be to receive love. And they carry that wound forever. Some spent their whole life trying to make their parents proud. Others spent decades trying to prove their worth to people who never truly valued them. I did this myself for many years. I wanted people to admire me, to approve of me, to think I was wise, successful, important. And do you know what happened? I slowly abandoned myself, piece by piece. That's the hidden cost of approval. You betray your own soul quietly, not all at once, little by little. You laugh when you want to stay silent. You agree when you want to disagree. You stay when you want to leave. Until one day, you barely recognize yourself anymore. Nobody tells you this when you're young. People-pleasing is not kindness. Most of the time it is fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of abandonment. Fear of being disliked. I once knew a man who spent his entire life trying to satisfy everyone. His family, his friends, his co-workers. He never said no. Never upset anyone. Everyone called him a good man. But near the end of his life, he admitted something devastating. He said, "I don't think anyone ever really knew me." That sentence broke my heart. Imagine living 80 years without ever fully being yourself. That is a tragedy greater than failure, because at least failure means you tried honestly. But living dishonestly, that slowly kills the spirit. I learned this too late. The people who truly love you do not require constant performance. Real love allows truth. Real connection allows imperfection, but many people spend their life chasing conditional acceptance. And conditional acceptance is exhausting. You must constantly earn it, constantly maintain it, constantly prove yourself worthy. That kind of living creates deep inner loneliness. Because even when people praise you, you secretly wonder if they would still love you if they saw the real version of you. I think that's why so many older people become emotional later in life. The masks become too heavy. The pretending becomes unbearable. Eventually, the soul wants honesty more than approval. That was the moment I understood something painful. Many people are successful publicly while suffering privately, and modern life makes this even worse. People now compare their real life to everyone else's edited performance. They see highlights and compare them to their hidden struggles. That comparison poisons the mind slowly. A young person today can feel like a failure by age 25 simply because they watch strangers online pretending to be happy, but appearances lie. I have lived long enough to know this deeply. Some smiling people are broken inside. Some wealthy people are miserable. Some admired couples secretly hate each other. Some confident people cry alone at night. Life humbles everyone eventually. Everyone. The man who thinks he is powerful. The woman obsessed with beauty. The person addicted to attention. Time comes for all of them. And time is brutally honest. It reveals what truly mattered. I have watched people grow old with bitterness because they sacrificed love for ambition. I have watched people regret spending more time impressing strangers than understanding themselves. I have watched fathers realize too late that their children only wanted presence, not perfection. That one hurts deeply. Children rarely remember your income. They remember your absence, your warmth, your patience, your attention. One of my greatest regrets is how often I was physically present but emotionally distracted, thinking about work, thinking about money, thinking about problems. Meanwhile, life was quietly happening around me. That is the cruel thing about life. You usually understand its value while losing it. I remember one evening vividly. My daughter was young then. She wanted me to sit with her and watch the rain, just watch the rain. But I was busy doing something I cannot even remember today. She asked again softly, and I told her maybe later. There are two words that become heartbreaking when you get older. Maybe later, because later is never guaranteed. Years passed. Children grew up, people died, moments disappeared forever. And suddenly I understood something devastating. Life was never asking me to become important. It was asking me to become present. But I was too distracted chasing things that now mean almost nothing to me. Most people think regret comes from failure. No, The deepest regrets usually come from neglect. Neglecting health, neglecting family, neglecting peace, neglecting yourself. Small neglects become giant heartbreaks over time. That is how life works. Quietly, slowly, until suddenly, and then people wonder where the years went. I'll tell you where they went. They went into stress, comparison, performance, fear, distraction. People spend decades preparing for life without ever living it, always waiting to feel successful enough, rich enough, loved enough. But life keeps moving while they wait. I have learned something simple after all these years. A peaceful breakfast with someone you love is worth more than public admiration from strangers. A quiet walk with a healthy body is worth more than status. An honest conversation is worth more than applause. And inner peace is worth more than almost everything people destroy themselves chasing. But sadly, most people only understand peace after exhausting themselves completely. After heartbreak, after burnout, after illness, after loss. That's when clarity arrives. Pain often reveals truths comfort hides. When you sit beside hospital beds long enough, your priorities change. You realize how fragile everything is. The arguments, the ego, the competition. So much of it suddenly looks ridiculous. I once saw a dying man apologize to his brother after 30 years of silence. 30 years, gone because of pride. And as I watched them cry together, I thought to myself, human beings waste so much life over things that will not matter in the end. Ego steals years from people. So does resentment. So does the desperate need to win. But life is not really asking you to win. It's asking you to wake up before it's too late. To notice people while they are still here. To enjoy ordinary moments before they become memories. To understand yourself before old age forces you to. Most people spend their youth escaping silence, then spend old age begging for peace. That irony is painful. When I was younger, silence felt uncomfortable. Now, I understand silence is sacred. Because in silence, you finally hear yourself clearly. Not society, not trends, not pressure, yourself. And many people avoid that their whole life. Because deep down, they are afraid of what they might discover. Afraid they built their entire existence around things that do not truly matter. I know that fear. I carried it myself. But eventually, age strips illusions away from you. You stop caring about impressing people. You stop worshiping busyness. You stop chasing every shiny thing the world promises will make you happy. And strangely, that's when life finally becomes lighter, simpler, more honest. I no longer think the richest person is the most successful. I think the most successful person is the one who can sleep peacefully at night, the one who does not need constant validation, the one who can sit quietly without feeling empty, the one who still knows how to love. Because love, real love, may be the only thing in life that death cannot make meaningless. Not romantic fantasy. I mean genuine human connection, the kind where someone truly sees you, truly knows you, and stays. In the end, nobody cares how important you looked. They care how you made them feel. That becomes your real legacy, not money, not titles, not followers, just memories inside human hearts. That's all. And maybe that sounds small when you're young, but when you grow old, you realize it was everything. So if you are still young enough to change your direction, please listen carefully. Do not spend your entire life chasing money beyond what you truly need. Do not build your identity around status. Do not abandon yourself trying to earn approval from people who are also lost. Because one day you will look in the mirror and see time staring back at you. And time is honest. It will ask you one terrifying question. Was it all really worth it? Most people are not prepared for that question. I hope you will be, because life passes faster than anyone warns you. One moment you are dreaming about the future, and the next, you are sitting quietly remembering the past. And trust me, when that moment comes, you will not care how impressive your life looked from the outside. You will care about whether you truly lived it.